As half Governor Sarah Palin defends don't retreat, reload, as former House Speaker Newt Gingrich describes the current political climate as the most serious since the 1850s, and as a new poll substantiates that those who are racially resentful gravitate to the Tea Party movement. The Republican Party, in our third story in the countdown, sounds more determined than ever, or desperate, to define themselves for a volatile base. Former Alaska Governor Palin sounded out her Obama-bashing greatest hits today at the Southern Republican Leadership Conference in New Orleans. But she received a standing ovation when she described her favorite new slogan.
Or my favorite, don't retreat, reload, and that is not a call for violence. That, of course, meaning taking opportunity to engage in debate and to vote is not a call for violence. No one is calling for such a thing, and the media is so desperate to discredit the people's movement and the Tea Party movement that, they'll make that up. But no, nobody is calling for violence.
Okay, my turn was last night. Now it's viewer participation time. That woman is an... Last night, it was former House Speaker Newt Gingrich plugging his new book to save America, stopping Obama's secular socialist machine. See if you can spot the difficult-to-pronounce plugs.
This is the most radical administration in American history. And then they meet with their two colleagues, Pelosi and Reid, and you have a perfect, unrepresentative left-wing machine dedicated to a secular socialist future. And what really got me to understand how different this period is, I believe this is the most serious conflict since the 1850s. And the reason I say that is the American people by last summer began to send a signal. They went to town hall meetings, they formed tea parties, the polling numbers got worse and worse. And the answer of the Democrats was to cancel town hall meetings, lie about the Tea Parties, and tell all their members to ignore the polls.
Palin does not have a monopoly. Gingrich also declared that if the GOP wins back control of Congress, it will defeat Obamaism by simply refusing to fund his radical efforts. In other words, shut down the government as he did as Speaker of the House in 1995, a strategy which he himself acknowledged as a failure 1 year later. Gingrich has now said he will decide whether he's running for president by February 2011. As for Tea Party love, the speakers at today's conference share that affinity with a segment of the population that feels racially resentful. A University of Washington survey finding that those who describe themselves so and who believe the government has done too much to support black people are 36% more likely to support the Tea Party movement than everyone else. White people in the South are 12% more likely to support the Tea Party than whites in other parts of the country. And quoting the director of the survey, political science professor Christopher Parker, the Tea Party is not just about politics and the size of government. The data suggests it may also be about race. Meantime, a prominent Tea Party group, the Tea Party Express, is claiming victory with the announced resignation of a prominent Democratic congressman, or retirement in any event, Congressman Bart Stupak of Michigan, the pro-life Democrat who voted for the health care bill after the president agreed to sign an executive order outlining prohibitions against the use of federal funds for abortion. The Tea Party Express ran ads against Stupak earlier this week, calling him a sellout who had betrayed the Constitution. The congressman today said he will not seek re-election to a 10th term because he has achieved his goal of health care reform.
When I first ran for Congress in 1992, I campaigned on a pledge to make affordable quality health care a right, not a privilege, for all Americans. I promised the people of the 1st Congressional District that I would not accept the insurance that members of Congress receive, the federal employees' health benefit package, until all Americans could have access to the same quality of care. For the last 18 years, I've kept that promise. Last month, we finally accomplished what I set out to do 18 years ago. We passed comprehensive national health care reform.
But anger over the new health care law from some quarters has caused an increase in threats against lawmakers. There has been a nearly threefold increase in the number of serious threats against members of Congress in recent months, according to law enforcement officials speaking to the Washington Post. And nearly all the recent threats appear to have come from opponents of the health care law, that according to Terrence Gaynor, the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms, who also served as chief of the Capitol Police for 4 years. Let's turn now to the political columnist for Bloomberg News, Washington editor of The Week magazine, Margaret Carlson, who joins us tonight from the Southern Republican Leadership Conference in New Orleans. Margaret, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Did we see a slice of 2012 GOP presidential cage match going on in there between Palin and Gingrich?
Well, they were the two heavyweights that are here. The others, Governor Tim Pawlenty and Mitt Romney, realized life isn't fair, there would be no oxygen for them to breathe, and decided not to come. Sarah Palin is the real firebrand, however. Newt Gingrich, he twists history, but he actually knows some in order to twist it, and has a few ideas. And Sarah Palin really goes for the jugular and the visceral. The crowd is beside itself here at her presence. It's a remarkable thing to see.
So it sounded like you were delicately phrasing kind of an answer to my next question, which was, is Gingrich getting anything resembling his old reception from the 90s, that when he was the firebrand?
You know, he got a lot of applause. He performed last night. He was asked whether he was going to run for president, and he said that he was going to consult his third wife and God about it, and then he would decide. He did lay out, you know, a platform opposed to Obama, not just a bunch of slogans. And the crowd was happy to have him here. He seems old. I mean, he seems like they were glad. They showed a lot of respect. It would be like Ronald Reagan showing up. I think the calendar's time has moved on.
The big picture question, presuming that they both realized to split and to remain kind of connected, but often willing to go each throw a candidate into a given race, that to split that way would give the Democrats basically anything they want. Does the GOP wind up eating the Tea Party, or does the Tea Party end up eating the GOP?
Or drinking,
yeah,
you might say. You know, the Tea Party is good at not electing someone, but doesn't have the apparatus or the attention span to elect someone. They're going to have to unite with the GOP. The GOP, on the other hand, has, like the South Carolina Republican Party, decided not to fight them but to join them, and they are now one. There may be some of that around the country because the infrastructure that it takes to actually elect someone, the Tea Party just has no interest in doing, and it's not what they're good at. They're good at carrying signs that say "Don't tread on me," and Uzis on their back, and just a whole bunch of slogans and bumper stickers. So they'll need the party, and the GOP will embrace them. Sarah today said that she was leading the people's movement, the Tea Party, and she was talking against the media for not accepting the Tea Party and mischaracterizing the people's movement. So she has no trouble slurping the tea.
They've gotten the greatest free publicity of any outside group in American political history. Margaret Carlson of Bloomberg News and The Week magazine. Have a great time in New Orleans.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.